El pretérito y el imperfecto. Ustedes necesitan escribir apuntes de este video y este video solamente es de la diferencia entre los dos pasados. Para repasar las conjugaciones pueden ver la página de Spanish to Review para repasar los videos de conjugación. Ok, pretérito es el tiempo pasado y es el pasado específico. So you see that timeline that I have down below. Remember, preterite is a specific point in time in the past or a specific segment in time in the past. But it's always, you could always draw it on a timeline. F de fins are your uses. F significa fixed time in the past. And those are keywords down below. Ayer, anoche, el año pasado, en 1996, por 2 semanas, etc. Y estos son ejemplos. So these are examples of fixed time in the past. Yo salí de la escuela a las 5. El verano pasado mi familia fue a Alemania. E is para interruption in the past, and usually it's used with cuando. Tú estabas estudiando cuando Elena te llamó. So you were studying, that was an ongoing, that's imperfect, but then preterite. She called you. O cuando Sage finalmente llegó, nosotros ya dormíamos. Again, when she arrived, preterite. Fixed time in the past. And that is interrupting us sleeping. N es para number of times. Una vez, dos veces, 5 veces, whatever. Derek y Garrett visitaron el Museo de Prado. So Derek and Garrett visited the museum, the Prado Museum, and just by putting it in the preterite, it means that it's a one-time action. And Cajol y yo viajamos a España 2 veces. Again, number of times. Once, twice, 5 times, whatever. As long as it's a specific number of times, it's going to be in the preterite. Start, stop. Comenzar, empezar, terminar. La película empezó a las 6, la fiesta terminó a la medianoche. Imperfecto es el tiempo pasado general. So this is the more general past tense. So you see on the timeline, it's not a specific point, it's not a segment, it's just this kind of floating in the past kind of past. H es para habitual actions in the past. Cada día, todos los domingos, de niño, de niña, siempre. Mi madre veía las telenovelas a las 12. My mom always, it's implied always, watched soap operas at 12. Courtney y Jordan montaban a caballo cada día después de la escuela. Again, something they always did. Ongoing actions. You don't know when they began or ended, even though you probably can realize that they've ended. Nick leía su libro. Vosotros dormíais durante la clase español. Telling time. So whenever you say what time it was in the past tense. Eran las 12 de la tarde. Era la 1:30 cuando yo oí el ruido. So here in the second one you see there's a preterite verb in there as well. It was 1:30. That's telling the time. That's imperfect. When, bam, I heard the noise. That's a fixed time, one-time action. Over and done with. Point on a timeline. Weather, only when it's setting the scene, not when it's talking about how, like, it started raining. That would be preterite. But when you're talking setting the scene weather, imperfect. Era una noche oscura y tormentosa. It was a dark and stormy night. Or hacía mucho calor en la costa. Age in the past. Cuando tenía 16 años, empecé a trabajar. Jugaba al fútbol constantemente cuando era joven. Description. Señora D era gordita. Mis antepasados eran muy altos y bonitos. Ellos trabajaban duro en el campo. Or simultaneous actions. 2 things happening, no interruptions. And usually that's used with the word mientras, which means while. Yo hacía mi tarea mientras mi madre hacía un crucigrama. Practíquenlo. En cada oración decidan pretérito o imperfecto y la razón. Después, traten de conjugar el verbo. So, you'll see a sentence in Spanish with a blank. I'd like you to decide preterite or imperfect and why. And then, after, then try to conjugate it. But see if you can figure out preterite or imperfect first before you get mixed up with trying to conjugate at the same time. Número uno. Es imperfecto porque es una acción habitual. When you see it cada tarde, every afternoon, that's habitual. So now you try and conjugate it, and you can pause the video if you need to. Practicábamos. Número dos. So this one you have two verbs. Take each piece of the sentence as its own. So, cuando Kobe blank 11 años, that's one part, decide whether that's preterite or imperfect. And then the second part, el blank, que sería un médico algún día. That's its own part as well. Okay, la primera parte es el imperfecto. So that first part is imperfect because it's an age. La segunda parte es pretérito porque es un number of times or a fixed time. You can look at it either way, right? He decided. That's like a point on a timeline. Now try and conjugate it. Pause it if you need to. Tenía y decidió. Next one. Okay, es pretérito. Remember, comenzar, it means to begin. It's always going to be preterite, unless it's like something always began. Then it could be habitual, but usually you'll see preterite. Conjugate it. Comenzó. On this one, you might need to know soleada or soleado means sunny. Imperfecto porque es weather. Estaba. Again, pause these if you need to as I'm going through them, so I'm not just giving you the answers. Practice it. Okay, es pretérito porque es un number of times. This is a one-time action. So they went to visit the Eiffel Tower. Y la respuesta es fueron. That's one of our irregulars. Imperfecto porque es description. Era muy grande. Keyword ayer, pretérito, fixed time, yesterday. Compré. Again, you've got two blanks here. Take them piece by piece. La primera es imperfecto. You're telling time there. La segunda es pretérito porque es un fixed time. Eran las 5 de la tarde y Diana vio a Jared. Y es pretérito porque también es un fixed time. Por un año. For only a year. That's a segment of time on a timeline. So it has to be preterite. Estuviste. Okay, la primera es imperfecto, es un ongoing action. Anytime you see ando or yendo, it's usually going to be in the imperfect because it's something that was happening. So this was happening when Emma asked her something. Preguntó. Just told you the answer. Estaba escribiendo and preguntó. Ahora, la tarea es escribir dos preguntas en español que tienen sobre estos apuntes. So pick two questions, write two things that you have questions about on this video, and write them in Spanish, And make sure you bring your notes to class and be ready to talk about this lesson. Thanks.